Hi, my name is Claudia Arrojado, and welcome to the latest episode of Where to Go Next. In this edition, we're talking to some of AFAR's staff on recommended destinations in Europe. This conversation is actually a part of a longer podcast, which I highly recommend you listen to. Link in the description. But for now, listen in on a little bit of the conversation and get some of AFAR's recommended destinations with a twist. So let's get into it.
I'm obsessed with Malta. I stumbled on Malta because I was on a cruise. I was on a Silver Seas cruise in the summer last August. And Malta was a curious box check. I thought it was going to be, like many still British English-speaking cultures, a little unappealing. And the ignorance of that kind of staggered me because when I got there, Malta is this fascinating collision of Arab culture, Sicilian culture, British culture, that has sat at the fulcrum of the Mediterranean for millennia and has been important to everybody. One of the oldest human excavations, one of the oldest evidence of human habitation anywhere in Europe is the Hypogeum in Malta, which only 80 people can go into every day. And it was carved out in the Stone Age using stone equipment from the limestone. They didn't even have tools. But you've got this incredible history, and then Malta is coming in. There's a new contemporary art museum opening. There are 3 or 4 new hotels opening. There's a real effort to upgrade its tourism because historically it was very much older British people going on package holidays. And it's such a pity to miss the chance to see Valletta, which was built almost overnight as a defensive effort by the Knights of Malta. So it has a uniformity of architecture that is Ottoman meets Venetian, and it was built as a grid, so it air conditions. So even in August, when you're standing in central Valletta, the beach breezes whiz through the town, and you aren't sweltering. Quite the reverse. You're really quite cool. And it's the most interesting, eccentric, slightly hard to pin down place.
I lived for, I think, 8 or 9 months in Logroño, which is kind of below the Basque region. When people go to Spain, they're like, okay, let's go to south of Spain, sangria in hand, have the time of our lives, doing like fiestas. But I think, there's a lot to be said about northern Spain and just exploring that region, especially since there are so many smaller cities that you can find, and the scenery is just gorgeous. Speaking of northern Spain, our Barcelona-based editor put together a road trip itinerary through Costa Brava, the coastal region of Catalonia. We'll have a link at the end of the video, so definitely check it out.
Edinburgh, I think, especially in August, there's like several festivals happening. You've got the book festival, the comedy festival, the theatre festival, and it's just such a fun time to be there. I went to Edinburgh for Rough Guides years ago, and for one night I just decided to say yes to every flyer and every person on the street who approached me about their show, and just followed and it's the kind of place you can do that and have a good night, and yeah, it's good fun.
Historically, August has been a great hack to visit Paris because it was when the hotel rates were historically at their lowest. So if you wanted to visit Paris affordably, you might have to forego some of the restaurants, but it was the cheapest time to score accommodation. And it always felt very counterintuitive that what felt like peak season, Paris would always be deserted because the bobos were all on the Idée. So the prices have gone up a little bit, but Paris, if you want to go to Paris affordably and you're happy to... There are more restaurants than the Buffalo Grill. There are a few more open, I think. And you can get a bistro in August. I think the mistake we make is when we picture Europe in the summer, we picture the Mediterranean. Whatever happens to the weather in the Med, Iceland will very likely not be quite so intolerable. And the Nordics, the UK, Iceland, Northern Europe, as Southern Europe boils, Northern Europe is very pleasant. And so don't forget that you can just shift a little further north. But again, I'm British, so I would say that.
I have a soft spot for Slovenia as an alternative to Croatia. It has about 30 miles of coastline, Adriatic, North Adriatic. tiny but very pretty port town, Piran there, and some good wines. And I didn't get to Lake Bled, but obviously, you know, that's a big one.
My favourite road trip is in Italy. I spent a lot of my childhood in Italy. I worked in Italy. If you go north from Venice, you end up where all of the Prosecco in the world comes from. And all of the vineyards are on one road between two towns, Conegliano and Valdobbiadene. And you can drive along the Prosecco road. It is very well signposted. And you go to these little vineyards, most of which are just old family run, and you knock on the door of a barn, and some Italian guy comes out and pours you some Prosecco, and then you buy a couple of bottles. He speaks no English. It doesn't matter. It is the loveliest scenery to do any time of the year. I've done it in the winter, I've done it in the summer, but it is the antithesis of those congested roads in southern Italy on the Amalfi Coast where you just think, this is LA traffic, but with Italian scenery. Go to the Prosecco road.
Thanks for watching this video by AFAR, and let us know in the comments, which of these destinations are you most excited to visit? As always, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more travel tips and inspiration. Bye!